Wire fraud in real estate. Let's talk about that. Hi, my name is Tonya Byrd and I am with Keller Realty Atlanta Partners in Peachtree City, Georgia. And today we're talking about wire fraud. Why? Because I don't want you to fall victim to it. In 2019, just 2 years ago, 11,677 people fell victim to wire fraud, and they lost $221 million. That's a lot of money to lose. In fact, the FBI, who tracks all this stuff, says that real estate wire fraud lands at number 5 on a list of 30 different types of fraud that they track every year. Number 5. So it's a big deal in real estate, and you got to be cautious about it. So how does wire fraud happen? Well, typically it happens when the fraudster hacks into an email or intercepts an email that either comes from the agent, or it comes from the closing attorney or title company, or it'll come from the mortgage lender, or they'll make it look like it comes from those people, and they'll have their wiring information on there. And so people just go to their bank and they wire the money without double checking anything, and off goes the money over to the fraudster's bank account, never to be seen again. So how can you protect yourself so that you don't fall victim to this yourself? Well, you can call the closing attorney and verify the wiring instructions. In Georgia, I've seen closing attorneys' wiring instructions on their websites. I've seen it in emails that aren't protected, they aren't encrypted, they're just regular emails. I've seen them sent in encrypted emails, and I've seen them to where the clients had to log on to the portal to get the wiring instructions. I don't care how you get the wiring instructions. What is most important about it is that you pick up that phone, you call that closing attorney, you repeat those numbers back to them and say, is this your account number? Is this your routing number? Is this the right instructions? Before you ever go to the bank and give them those instructions and hit send, because once it's gone, it is gone. So you may ask me, Tonya, but why do I even have to wire money? Isn't something like certified check safer? Well, in certain instances, you can bring certified funds or a personal check to closing. Let's look at when you can bring checks to the closing table versus when you have to wire. Get out my little book here. My little book of Georgia law says Law 44-14-13, all amounts over $5,000 due at closing must be in the form of a wire transfer only. So it's Georgia law that you have to wire the money. And 9 times out of 10, I have my clients having to wire money because they have to bring more than $5,000 to the closing table. So this is the reason why you have to do it. So now that you know you have to wire the money, and now that you know that you have to take extra measurements to make sure you're wiring it to the right place, how can your wire potentially delay closing? Well, I always recommend to my clients that you wire the money the day before closing. It usually takes 5 to 8 hours for that money to hit on the same day, but you don't want to be goofing around with that window, that time frame. I've seen closings get delayed because somebody wired their money after 1 p.m. and our closing was at 4, and it delayed closing. You couldn't close because really you don't really own the house until you sign the closing documents and the money is in the bank and it gets distributed to everyone. So it's closing and funding. So you don't want to delay because you were goofing around and did not get the money wired in time for the closing attorney to receive it. Also, don't think that you can do an ACH or an automatic bill pay kind of thing out of your bank account and think that it's a wire or that it will suffice for a wire. That's nothing more than writing a check. Back in the day, we used to have to write them out manually. It's the same thing. You're just, ACH is kind of like a virtual check, and bill pay, again, they'll either virtually ACH it or they'll send a paper check, and that will delay closing. And especially if you sent the money in and it's over $5,000, so the closing attorney won't accept it and you'll have to wire it. So don't be silly and think you can get around this whole wiring thing with an ACH or bill pay. So now that you know that in the state of Georgia, if you have to bring over $5,000 to the closing table, you have to wire the money. And now you know you have to call the closing attorney to verify the number so you're safe. Now you know. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you need help in the greater Atlanta area, particularly on the south side, give me a ring. Oh, and by the way, if you thought that I actually kept a book of Georgia law around, this is actually a book called How to Make Money in Real Estate. It used to be my grandfather's. It was printed in 1951. I discovered it one day as I was going through their stuff. And it made for a good prop, didn't it? It looks like it might be an old law book. See ya. Bye. Are you digging the kind of content I'm producing? Then be sure to watch this next video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way, you'll be in the know when I release my next video.